What if I told you someone in your life is already controlling your decisions, your emotions, even how you see yourself, and you don't even realize it? It's not obvious. There's no shouting, no threats, just subtle pressure, guilt, and psychological tricks that slowly take over your mind. Most people think manipulation is easy to spot. It's not. In fact, the smarter the manipulator, the more invisible it becomes. But here's something even more uncomfortable. Your brain is actually designed to be manipulated, not by accident, by evolution. Your mind is wired to seek social approval, avoid conflict, and follow the emotional lead of the people around you. Skilled manipulators know this. They exploit it every single day. But there's a way to shut it down completely. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 boundaries that make you almost impossible to be manipulated, even by the most skilled people. These aren't just rules, they're psychological shields built from self-awareness, emotional science, and cognitive clarity. Once you understand them, the manipulation stops working, not because the manipulator gives up, but because you stop being available for it. Let's get into it. Section 2. The hidden psychological problem. Why manipulation works so well. Before we talk about boundaries, you need to understand why manipulation is so effective in the first place. Here's the core issue. Your brain has a strong preference for social harmony. Psychologists call this the need to belong, a deeply rooted drive to stay connected, accepted, and valued by the people around you. This isn't weakness. For most of human history, being rejected from your group meant death. So your brain learned to prioritize belonging above almost anything else. Manipulators exploit this beautifully. They use guilt to make you feel responsible for their emotions. They use silence and withdrawal to trigger your anxiety. They use flattery to make you lower your guard, and then use subtle criticism to make you feel like you constantly need to earn their approval. There's also something called cognitive load at play. When you're emotionally overwhelmed, when someone is guilt-tripping you, gaslighting you, or pressuring you to decide quickly, your brain's capacity for rational thinking shrinks dramatically. You stop thinking clearly. You react instead of respond. And in that reactive state, you become incredibly easy to control.
The solution isn't to become cold or emotionally detached. It's to build specific psychological boundaries that protect your thinking, your identity, and your decision-making, even under pressure. Section 3. The illusion that keeps people vulnerable. Most people think they're already protected because they're aware of manipulation, but awareness alone doesn't stop it. Here's the illusion. Knowing about manipulation is not the same as being immune to it. You can watch 100 videos about gaslighting and still get gaslit. Why? Because manipulation doesn't attack your knowledge, it attacks your emotional state. And when your emotions are hijacked, your knowledge becomes inaccessible. Think about it this way. You might know that a manipulator is trying to make you feel guilty, but if you haven't built a real boundary around your sense of worth, that guilt still lands, it still stings, and you still change your behavior because of it. This is the trap. People mistake familiarity with mastery. They recognize the pattern, but haven't done the internal work to actually stop responding to it. Real protection comes from building deep psychological structures, not just surface-level awareness. That's what the 5 boundaries do. Section 4. The science of real psychological protection. Before I give you the 5 boundaries, let's talk about how psychological protection actually works. Research in emotional regulation shows that the people least susceptible to manipulation share a few key traits. They have a stable, consistent sense of self. They have clear values they can reference under pressure. And they have practiced sitting with discomfort without immediately reacting to it.
This is deliberate work. It's not personality. It's not that some people are just stronger. It's that some people have, intentionally or not, built psychological structures that protect them. Think of it like this. Manipulators are looking for emotional leverage. They need a gap to insert pressure into, an insecurity, a fear, a need for approval. The 5 boundaries close those gaps, one by one, until there's nothing to grab onto. Section 5. The 5 boundaries, your psychological protection system. Boundary 1. The identity boundary. The most powerful thing a manipulator can do is make you question who you are. They redefine you with labels like you're too sensitive, you're always overreacting, you're selfish. Repeat this enough and you start believing it. The identity boundary means you have a clear, grounded definition of your own values, character, and worth, one that doesn't shift based on what someone else says about you. Practically, this means you regularly ask yourself, what do I actually value? What kind of person am I choosing to be? Write it down. Anchor it. When someone tries to rewrite your identity with guilt or criticism, you have something solid to return to. They can have their opinion. It doesn't have to become your reality. Boundary 2. The emotional responsibility boundary. Manipulators are experts at making their emotions your problem. If they're upset, it's your fault. If they're disappointed, you need to fix it. This creates a dynamic where your entire emotional energy is spent managing someone else's inner world, leaving nothing left for your own. The emotional responsibility boundary means understanding this clearly. You are responsible for your own emotions, and other people are responsible for theirs. You can care about someone without being controlled by their emotional state. Compassion is not the same as emotional servitude. When someone tries to make you feel guilty for having needs or for saying no, recognize it. That guilt is a tool being used on you. You can feel it and still not act on it. Boundary 3. The time and pressure boundary. One of the most effective manipulation tactics is urgency. I need an answer now. If you really cared, you wouldn't have to think about it. Pressure-based manipulation is designed to bypass your rational thinking and force a reactive decision. The time and pressure boundary is simple. You never make important decisions under artificial urgency. You are always allowed to say, I need time to think about this. A real healthy relationship can tolerate a pause. A manipulative dynamic usually can't, because the pressure only works in the moment. Train yourself to recognize urgency as a red flag. Slow down. Think. The decision made calmly is almost always better than the one made in a panic. Boundary 4. The information boundary. Manipulators collect data. They listen to your fears, your insecurities, your past wounds, and then they use that information as leverage. The more you overshare, the more ammunition they have. The information boundary doesn't mean becoming secretive or closed off. It means being intentional about what you share and with whom. Trust is earned through consistent, safe behavior over time, not assumed because someone seems interested in you. Ask yourself, has this person shown me that my vulnerabilities are safe with them? If the answer is uncertain, keep your inner world private. Share gradually. Watch how they handle what you give them. Boundary 5. The validation boundary. This is arguably the most important one. Manipulation works because at its core, most people are hungry for external validation. They want to be seen, appreciated, and approved of. Manipulators weaponize this by giving and withdrawing approval in cycles, keeping you emotionally dependent on their response. The validation boundary means building your sense of worth from the inside out, not the outside in. This is harder than it sounds because we're socially wired to care what others think. But there's a difference between valuing someone's perspective and needing it to feel okay about yourself. One is connection, the other is dependence. Practically, this means celebrating your own effort, keeping a record of your wins and growth, and regularly reconnecting with your own values, independent of whether anyone else notices. When your self-worth is internally anchored, the approval withdrawal cycle loses its power completely, because what a manipulator takes away, you can give yourself. Section 6. Conclusion. The mind that cannot be controlled. Here's the truth about all 5 of these boundaries. None of them are walls. They're not about shutting people out or becoming emotionally unreachable. They are clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you're responsible for, how you make decisions, what you share, and where your worth comes from. Manipulation doesn't work on clarity. It needs fog, confusion, insecurity, urgency, dependency. The moment you replace that fog with clear psychological structure, the game changes entirely. You don't become hostile, you don't become cold, you become grounded. And grounded people are extraordinarily difficult to manipulate because there's simply nothing to grab onto. Start with one boundary this week. The identity boundary is a powerful place to begin. Write down 5 values that define who you are at your best. Read them back when pressure hits. That single act of clarity is the beginning of a mind that cannot be easily controlled. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of self-protection and emotional intelligence, subscribe, because there's a lot more where this came from.